Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your presence today. As Zahir mentioned, my name is Janna Radi. I'm part of the Children and Youth Major Group, and I am also an environmental health researcher with a focus on community development. And I will be sharing a brief presentation on the Resolution 10 from UNEA 6 this year, which focuses on regional air quality cooperation. So I always like to contextualize my presentations. So I'm going to start with a very brief overview of air pollution before jumping into the resolution itself. So air pollution has been classified by the WHO and UNEP as one of the largest environmental health threats, where actually around 70% of annual mortality is estimated to occur in the Asia-Pacific region. But what do we mean by air pollution? So according to the WHO's definition, it's biological, physical, or chemical contaminants that disrupt the natural state of the atmosphere. And the most commonly discussed pollutants nowadays can be grouped into 5: particulate matter, ground level ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. When discussing air pollution, there is a very important guideline that should be known, and that's the World Health Organization Air Quality Guidelines. It was first published in 2005 and updated in 2021. These guidelines outline specific annual average targets for nations to follow for healthier environments for each pollutant. And there are also interim targets to consider the capacities of developing countries to meet these ideal targets in a more phased approach and considering their local capacity. So for example, in this little table, you can see with the example of PM 2.5, the annual mean target is 5 micrograms per meters cubed. However, there are interim targets for countries who have higher levels of air pollution to be able to meet the ideal target in a phased approach. As most of you probably already know, air pollution is a transboundary challenge. And this means that there are many occurrences where pollutants travel across national boundaries, impacting the entire region's air and water and land quality. And this requires regional cooperation to be able to tackle. Some examples, and here just sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide are usually the main pollutants and primary causes of acid rain, which have other harmful impacts to land and water. And in the Asia region, there are some examples of partnerships that already exist, such as the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution and the Asia-Pacific Clean Air Partnership. So very briefly, when discussing actions towards improving air quality, these can be grouped into 2 categories: setting national targets for air quality using the WHO standards, as previously mentioned, and developing national air quality programs, which incorporate monitoring air quality, reporting air quality, and actually implementing the mitigation of these emissions. However, there are challenges to these actions, to implement these actions, largely due to funding. A lot of these monitoring technologies are financially expensive. And human resources, there needs to be a training of individuals who can operate these technologies and are able to analyze them and report the results, and also balancing local development needs too. So to support with taking actions, policies and collaborative programs are quite helpful. And with that being said, this brings us to the main discussion for today, UNEA 6 Resolution 10. If some of you are not familiar, UNEA is the world's highest level decision-making body for matters related to the environment, and it's usually held every 2 years, where this year member states adopted a resolution on promoting regional cooperation on air pollution to improve air quality globally. So I will begin with the preambular paragraphs, which have references to 2 prior resolutions that were passed at the environmental assemblies. The first one being from UNEA 1, Resolution 7 on air quality, which strengthens the role of UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Programme, to promote air quality and identify gaps in national capacities to be able to support. And secondly, UNEA 3, Resolution 8 on preventing and reducing air pollution to improve air quality globally. This resolution encouraged member states to take action across sectors to reduce all forms of air pollution while also pursuing synergies and co-benefits, such as with climate action and sharing of existing knowledge. It also further reinforces Resolution 7 from UNEA 1 to strengthen the mandate of UNEP to tackle air quality. So there are also references to the World Health Assembly Decision 68.8 on health and the environment and the United Nations General Assembly decision of the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, which is mainly raises awareness for tackling air pollution. I just wanted to note a challenge with implementing UNEA 3 Resolution 8 has been delayed or insufficient funding. There was a study that showed there's less than 1% of international development funding committed to reducing air pollution. So there's still been a challenge in implementing this resolution. So now to the operative paragraphs in Resolution 10 of UNEA 6. These are the actions required to be taken. So first, there's a reference to implement UNEA 3, Resolution 8, as mentioned. There's still a gap in implementation. And second, OP carries the bulk of this resolution, and it requests the United Nations Environmental Programme Executive Director to form and facilitate a cooperation network on air quality, including interested member states, specialized agencies, secretariats of UN entities, relevant multi-environmental agreements, international, regional, and sub-regional bodies. And there was a reference in a footnote to all of the relevant bodies that align with this OP2. However, what is most relevant to the Asia region are the following. So I won't read all of them out, but there's the Asia Pacific Clean Air Partnership Forum, there's the ENET, and a bunch of other important instruments and collaborations. So to continue, what are the actual goals of this network? Sorry, I think someone is unmuted. Yeah. The actual goals of this network is one, to raise awareness about the threats of air pollution and the importance of tackling air pollution, to support member states to develop national air quality monitoring. And there's also an inclusion of low-cost options to consider that financing can be a challenge. So for example, instead of a whole air monitoring station, there could be the option of incorporating sensors, which are a bit more low cost. Sharing knowledge sharing and technical expertise on air quality management, especially from developed countries, and development of regional air quality programs. Now, OP3 requests the executive director to provide an updated global online platform for communication and information sharing. And OP4 supports the implementation in developing countries with intergovernmental organizations, private sector, NGOs, and other stakeholders. So mobilizing the means of implementing these OPs. And OP5 is to support development of regional solutions with cooperation bodies. And lastly, the last OP is request the executive director to report on progress of this resolution at UNEA 7. And that concludes the presentation. These are the references for everything that was mentioned previously. I wanted to note reference 3. It's actually very interesting and useful if you wanted to have a deeper dive on air pollution, the current state of air pollution. There's a lot of data at a member state level and also at a regional level for current gaps in achieving air quality standards, as well as what are the current policies and multi-environmental agreements that are relevant to regions. So if you'd like to dive more into the current state of air pollution, this reference is very important. And the last 3 references are touch on the resolutions that were mentioned in this presentation. And thank you. That concludes the presentation.